Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Qasim is not joining today, it's just me, Dan, but our guest today is JaCar King. So, JaCar, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and just tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So my name is JaCar King. I am a fashion designer. I'm a stylist and I'm a model.
So, what got you into fashion designing and modeling? I know that I guess, if you want to give it a backtrack, so, you were in the military, you were in the Air Force, right? So, I guess, how did you make that transition from being in the Air Force to being a model?
So it's funny because the modeling came before the fashion design. And I was in the military with a few of my friends that I live in the house with now. So there's one person named Denzel, and then another person named Supreme, and then another person named Jose. They all live with me. My friend Denzel, he was trying out like photography, right? And he was learning that process and kind of getting into like doing landscape and stuff like that. And then he asked me like, "Hey, do you want to I want to practice doing people." So I was like, "Sure, I'm down." And he had been doing a few other people like around the city, but he hadn't really thought of a theme and really conceptualized something and did the shoot, right? So we did that and we did a shoot. And that was kind of the first time I really ever modeled for somebody with my good friend, right? So then after that, he posted a picture and then started getting hit up for like modeling gigs, stuff like that in the city. And that's how that process for modeling started, which was at the time very foreign to me. Because when I was younger, I was never looked at as like attractive conventionally or whatever, So to have people then desire my face and body type and like everything on a camera was actually kind of crazy. Not gonna lie to you.
That's awesome. So I guess modeling came first for the fashion designing, right?
It did. It did.
So I guess from modeling to fashion design, did you kind of see some of the trends that maybe companies were looking at, or like I guess like how did you kind of make that transition, like understand what specifically? Because fashion designing is something that I think is so unique because everybody
Mhm.
has different styles, right? So I guess like did you kind of see some of the trends that they were asking for, or like how did you kind of how did that idea come to fruition for you?
So I am a very stylish person. And I've always kind of been that when I was younger, even when I didn't have a whole lot of money and stuff to work with. I was always really into like clothing and things of that nature. Put my mom's jewelry and stuff on, doing little kid stuff. But then as I just transitioned into being like an adult, the want and desire for it wasn't as strong, right? And I kind of started to just live through just experiences with clothing and things of that nature. But then one day, I was upset because I ordered this piece of clothing that didn't really fit me the right way. And I knew how it should fit on me, and I knew the draping and everything of that nature. And my friend sitting next to me, we were at lunch or something like that. And he was like, "Why don't you just make the clothes?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I never really thought about making the clothes." But like he knows that like when I was younger, my grandmother, she's a seamstress and she like fixes like little patches and stuff on for people in my neighborhood back home. And she taught me a little bit of sewing and a little bit of stuff, and she's one of the main reasons why I even thought really to do it. But he was like, "You know how to do little stuff. Why don't you just do it all the way?" So I started doing it all the way. And I started my own brand first, which I didn't know would be such a big commitment. But I started my brand by myself in my military dorm. And I started just making clothes in that nature. So I guess I never really truly got into like the trend watching until a little bit later and started to really understand clothing and study the industry. But at first, it was really just, I want to make my own stuff.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. It's interesting because like a lot of people that we've spoken to on kind of our podcast are also military veterans like yourself. And I'm just curious, like from being in the military, how does that help you as an entrepreneur?
I think it's crazy because I was kind of always an entrepreneur before the military. Just where I'm from, the way that most people made money was through just like doing little jobs here and there or selling little stuff here and there. So I was always an entrepreneur through the guise of just learning how to get something that somebody wanted for cheap and then reselling it for more. You know, so I was always kind of entrepreneur, but I think the thing that I love about the military, it teaches you discipline and focus and putting little tasks together to accomplish the bigger task, you know? So those things are and kind of like those intangibles you get from just mentality of having to get through a basic training or get through some type of training, you know, with the military. It takes a lot out of you. So whenever you have something in front of you that is in a passion, you know, it gives you a better understanding of like, okay, I've been in the place where I can do something that I don't want to do, but now when it's something that I want to do, now that drive is even heightened that much more, you know, through the want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do you think that when you were in the service, you think that like that oftentimes you kind of struggled with some of the tasks that you had to do that you didn't enjoy doing, you know, in the Air Force?
Um, it it's funny because a lot of the tasks that we did in the military for the Air Force at least wasn't as crazy as some stuff in the Air Force. I'm not Air Force, but in the military, it can get really crazy in the military. Not gonna lie to you, the Air Force is a better side of it. I'm not getting shot at every day, at least you know. My job was a lot more mental, so for me, my mental had never been challenged in that way. So whenever it was something in front of me that was truly like a task that required mental fortitude and mental like thinking to a higher degree than I was used to, that's when I really found the value, you know, in those things.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. So I guess as of right now, like we always ask, because you know we're a technology company, like how are you using technology with your business? And I guess what do you like and what do you not like about it?
That's a great question, especially with the AI and stuff now, man. It's scary because it's scary to me in certain ways, and it's also very exciting, right? Because you have AI, which alone could completely decimate the fashion industry through my job as a designer and creative thinker, with a computer that can completely blow me out of the water at every second of the day, creating something all the time. It's scary in that aspect. I will say it is very terrifying for that. But also the way that I've been incorporated into my fashion design now, it gives one fantastic kind of silhouettes and ideas for silhouettes through the AI design because it's never perfect. You have to then take your knowledge, adjust some of those things in there, right? Then you also have things in nature like 3D printing, right? So you have technology now that you can synthesize like kind of like fabrics through a 3D printer. You can create shoes, you can create hats, you can create bags that are 3D printed. And I haven't really got my hands on them fully, but I have dabbled in the 3D design world a little bit because you can do certain things with it that are really cool. If you can't do it just by human hand. It's not possible, you know, things of that nature. That kind of technology I love about it. That's kind of how I incorporate it into my fashion design.
Yeah, I always say I'm like AI, it's like it's not like it might take away some jobs, but I think when it comes to things like, you know, software development or design, like we still need humans because like they're not gonna know like it'll be more of like a supplement. It'll make our lives easier, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
see it as something that's gonna take our jobs away. I guess like as of right now, right, for your brand, like how are most people finding out about you?
Most people right now are finding out about me through now. I've been really getting heavy trying to promote more stuff on LinkedIn. A lot of social medias, right? And you have like I have a group of people who kind of help the Google searches and things of that nature. And then also just word of mouth. I travel enough to where I can kind of spread the word out through my travels too. I have a lot of friends in New York and California, so a lot of them do a lot of the marketing for me too. I think the biggest proponent that kind of spreads my name around was is people. I'm a big people person. So whenever I talk to somebody, I'm mentioning my model, I'm mentioning the fashion design, I'm mentioning those things, you know, along with other conversations that we have, you know. So I think that's probably the most way people are finding me right now, I think.
Well, I guess LinkedIn is interesting because I feel like in terms of like fashion, it's more I see more like Instagram and TikTok. Like, are you on those platforms as well?
I am on those platforms.
Okay, so if you gotten like good exposure from there, I would assume probably you have like I don't know. It's just what I've seen in the industry. It's like Instagram, especially is when it comes to fashion, people are really finding companies through there.
Exactly. And they are. It's weird because Instagram will change the algorithm on a drop of a dime, man. They do not care. That's the only thing I don't like about them is that whenever I figure out the algorithm, it switches right around under my feet, man. It's right under my feet.
Yeah, it's true. So I guess in terms of self promotion, right? Are you wearing one of your shirts right now, or do you typically wear like your
No.
apparel?
Unfortunately, right now I just threw on a shirt because I had to go out and grab something for somebody. But I wear my stuff out a lot. Like I have this bag actually. If you can, I put you like down for a second.
Yeah,
Grab it.
yeah, sure,
Okay.
sure.
I wear this bag out a lot. This is my handbag that I made for my brand.
Oh wow.
Um, this is two kind of flat brim hats put together. And
Okay.
that was kind of the idea for it. But I wear this one out a lot because it's a really nice size bag, not too big, not too little. And then it has the one handle or the over the body strap. So I literally wear that around all the time. Not gonna lie to you, all the time.
So when you're walking with that bag, I'm sure people are probably coming up to you and saying, "That is a cool bag. Where'd you get it?" Right?
Every time I wear it out.
Yeah, that's smart. Like that is like the epitome of like really smart self-promotion because like you wear your own product and people are like, it's a very easy kind of like talking.
It really is. It's it's also one of those things where whenever somebody sees, I feel like a because I'm a bigger person, right? I'm never like low, not sticking out. I'm always sticking out, right? I'm already sticking out, and then I have the bag on top of it with the outfit that I'm wearing. So we were like, no, I gotta know where you got that bag from. So a lot of times people do ask about the bag first before anything.
It's really cool. So I guess like in terms of manufacturing your bag and your products, like did you do you do it yourself or like how did you find the partner to help you manufacture your products?
So it's funny because I sew stuff a lot myself, but the bag I had made somewhere else. I had it made in I want to say it is either I can't remember somewhere in Europe. I can't remember the actual spec. This is the place right now. But I had it made in Europe because I had a friend. She was traveling and messing people over there. I was looking for a bag manufacturer because I don't have all the tools with me right now to make a bag this crazy, right? So I did that and I was overseas with it, and I was having interviews and Zoom calls and stuff like that. So the bag is manufactured overseas, but a lot of like my clothing that I make is here in America. So
So, I mean, Europe's, I think, a good option because I feel like, I mean, I guess like what trends are you seeing? 'Cause I think it's like oftentimes, right, people are saying, oh, I want to go cheap and do it in China or something like that. Like, I guess like what trends are you seeing and what are people looking for when it comes to certain products? At least for me, like Europe, America, I think are good places to manufacture. Like, what are you seeing being in the industry?
I think right now a lot of people are transitioning from. So I think let's take it back like a little bit, not like a lot. Like 2017, 2018, right? The world kind of started to transition fully into like streetwear, right? With Supreme and all those things becoming really, really big and really, really hyped. Streetwear became like one of the main things. And I think one of the main reasons why it was so big is people like my age, I'm 22, people around my age were growing up and we were in high school and we were getting like, we were starting to make money and stuff like that. And we don't like to wear suits and things of that nature in high school. So you're buying clothes you can wear every day to school or every day to the grocery store or whatever. But then now we're fully paying bills and we're grown now. So the streetwear has transitioned into more of a grown wear, which is more of like you're mixing in vests and you're mixing in blazers with trench coats, and you have like cropped hoodies underneath long bodysuits. You know, like so you have certain things that we have transitioned over into from streetwear to the grown wear, but a lot of it is now we're starting to wear flannels again. We're starting to wear like blazers, you know, with no shirt on or something. So that's the biggest trend that I'm seeing over like the overarching one, right? But then you have things where like TikTok has created a thing where there's a vacuum of trends and there's a vacuum of styles and aesthetics that are circling at the same exact time. So you can be on one part of an algorithm where it's all gothic, right? But in the exact same time, it's just in the same space. You have this thing now called bloke core, which is to me hilarious. I love it. Something that I have never seen before, but it's dope. So you have things that actually exist at the exact same time, and it's creating a trend where there is no one aesthetic or one trend or one fashion style that's in right now, you know. But what I'm seeing personally is that most of the industry has transitioned over to that grown streetwear kind of vibe, you know.
But do you think it's like, in terms of the style specifically, but do you think that people are really caring where it's being made? 'Cause,
Hmm.
America versus China or Europe, for example, like, because at least for me, I've always felt, it's in the past, it was like, okay, I want something cheap and I'm like, I don't care. But I think people, at least now, have kind of transitioned to more of like what you're doing, more higher quality products made in the USA or made in Europe.
Yeah, no, I was having a conversation with somebody actually the other day, conversation about how the sustainability of everything is really important now. You know, sustainability is one of the most important things that we can really focus on now moving forward because of the very large catastrophic kind of events that are happening in our on Earth, not just in certain places on Earth. The entire Earth is kind of going through it. And a large part of a lot of the reason why we don't have like a ozone is the fashion industry because of the manufacturing and everything. So like that is definitely a point of focus for a lot of brands. That like so like you have like Versace and Louis Vuitton and all those brands kind of they don't have the biggest focus on it because it kind of doesn't affect them in any way to their eyes. But you have smaller brands that really focus on like carbon footprint and the how they make clothes and where they're made and the actual like labor laws in the countries that it's made in, you know, that's really important to people now. So I think that the focus is definitely getting there, but it is starting with once again people that are my age who are transitioning into becoming the more leading people in the fashion industry. It hasn't come to the mass audience yet, but it's getting there for sure. It's definitely getting there.
That's awesome. So I guess like as of right now for your brand, like what is your number one priority in the next maybe 3 to 6 months?
That's a great question. I think my number one priority with my brand right now is definitely transitioning it into the place where it is self-sufficient. And I say that as to creating products that then feed into the next collection. You know, I'm still in the more beginning stages of it, and I've done some really cool things already. But the way that I'm trying to move with the pieces that I have now for the future is creating a system where whenever I get with my team, we get the next three collections lined up and we're just making them, you know, and really getting into where I can create freely. That's really the goal, honestly.
So you want to focus more on creating and have people on your team focus more on marketing, getting like the word out and reaching more people, basically.
Exactly. That's the goal. Now, will it happen? We're gonna see. But that's the goal.
That's awesome. So I guess like in the next like year or two, right, like with your business, like where do you envision it? Do you envision like having a lot more products? So like if we're going to talk in like a couple of years, like what where do you envision things being with your brand?
You know, that's always a. I've had a question before, and it's always funny when I hear that question because I don't know. I like to set intentions on things, but also I'm one of those people who allows the universe to do what it's going to do. And I really do believe in the universe taking its wave with wherever it wants you to go, and it's going to point you in that direction. So I think I just want the next couple years to be what the universe wants it to be. You know, nothing set in stone. Allow it to freely adjust and comport to wherever it needs to be. You know.
That's a good answer. So I guess just to wrap it up, so like what kind of advice do you have for somebody who has your background, was in the service, wants to start a business? Like, how could they go about doing what you've been able to do?
I think the first step is really getting down and sitting with yourself and asking yourself truly what are your passions and what are you really willing to do for free every day. Because you can get paid to do a lot of stuff whenever you're alone with yourself and you're just sitting doing whatever you're doing. What are those things that you love to just do, you know, and turn that into a business?
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that, it's a big transition for somebody. I've seen it often from going to the service and going into the corporate world. But I think if you can start your own business, to your point, really what I've learned from a lot of, military veterans is that discipline. Like that is what's going to take you to that next level because most people don't have that discipline. Most people can't stay that focused on one thing because you have to do it when you're in the, like it's part of your job. So if you can transition that into your real life, I mean, you're gonna, go to the moon with your product. So,
Um,
yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, I'm hoping in a year or 2 years, we can talk again. Your brand's gonna be big, and like we're rooting for you. And yeah, I mean, let's keep in touch. And thank you so much for joining our podcast.
you're very welcome, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you. All right, have a good rest of your day.
You too, sir.
All right, thanks. All right, bye.